Welcome to the Oh So Spurs podcast. Good evening. Maybe you're in Australia like Joe. Good morning. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing well. Just mentioned to you that it's cold and you have no sympathy for me. So, yeah, I've got no
Pretty
sympathy for
much.
hate for you either. So, there we go.
Yeah. Opposite ends of the world of two extremes at the moment. But yeah. Though, should we go straight into the thing on everyone's lips at the moment today, which is will Morgan Gibbs-White be announced on Monday, or are we look? Because the way I look at this is, one of three things can happen. It either just gets completed really fast on Monday. It either drags out for a week or two and then still happens, or Spurs just go, you know what, this guy, when I say this guy, the Forest chairman, is just not worth the hassle here. The legal cases aren't worth it. Let's just go find someone else on the list. Is there another scenario there, Joe, or do you see it the same?
Oh, maybe that they don't want to. It's like having a toddler. Maybe they don't want to give in to his tantrum, so they just stick it out for the long term. I guess that's the fourth option, and we sign him on deadline day. But there's nothing they can do, really, is there? It's essentially just a tantrum at the end of the day, because it's it's a clause baked into a contract that is saying that we wanted to keep it secret, but I don't know how you do that in a contract. And everyone talks to players' agents anyway. That's literally the whole point of having an agent is to talk to them. It's not like they wouldn't know what was in his contract. So I don't really understand. I mean, it's par for the course for him, really, isn't it, to have tantrums over different things.
It just doesn't like the whole thing as well. If the asking price had been 60.12 million and we'd gone 60.12 million, you'd get it. Or they'd be like, well, someone's obviously told you. But when your asking price is such a round number, and I've spoken about it before, I feel like every football fan, there's been a word invented for it, because there's no actual price tag on any player. That doesn't exist really in most, unless they've got a release clause, ironically, a public one. But your fans, most of you, if you ask fans, 80% of them will typically come within 10% of each other when you go, what's that player worth? Even if they've only seen them play once. Like there's some weird kind of energy you get around a player value, around a feeling. And if you went for Gibbs-White, I think most people would go, probably like 50, 60 million. And when the club's seen it, other clubs go for him and not get it, and it leaves a value of kind of like, well, we're not going to get 55 based on what other people have tried. So let's just chuck 60 in. It doesn't seem that much of a big coincidence, does it? That it just was the value either.
Yeah, I mean that could happen. That could easily just as much happen. But I don't really see the problem anyway of talking to agents and them saying this is the release clause, because clubs do it all the time. There's people that have agreed things like the players, their salary, bonuses, that kind of stuff before they even start negotiating with the club.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like they're new to doing stuff like this. Forest, they've had charges against them. They've complained about other stuff. He would have no problem doing it, but he's just just a lunatic. This, I guess, got to his sort of lot in life by being a bit of a lunatic. Probably worked out for him, and he's doing it again. But he's come against the brick wall of the shiny head of Daniel Levy, and he's going to slip straight off him.
Well, yeah, the thing is, if you're trying to play an emotional game of chess with anyone, Daniel Levy's not going to play the game. It's like if you're entertaining it of how I'm going to get him at my table, I'm going to rile him up, I'm going to force him to do that and that and the other. And Langer seems to be of a similar type of personality, where those guys are just going to go, we're not playing. Okay, if you don't want our money, we're not all putting all our eggs in one basket here with Morgan Gibbs-White. It's great. He makes sense. He's a really good footballer. He's got the homegrown thing. He's Premier League proven. He's got a release clause that apparently you're not allowed to activate. And all we've done is gone, well, that makes sense to go for him. But if it doesn't work out, I think Spurs will have other people on that list who are equally as exciting once they're revealed who they are, but they have slightly more complex things that put us off going for them first, which will be they don't have a release clause and they don't have a homegrown status. But we have seen it before plenty of times where we've missed out on our first target, and I felt absolutely gutted about it. And then you get someone else and you go, I'm so glad we didn't get the first guy, because the second guy was absolutely outstanding. I think Van der Ven was a second choice option, I'm trying to think, wasn't he? As well. There was
I guess we don't know the choices because there's no ITKs anymore for Langer, so we never really know. I guess it's the fans' first and second choices. But they have a problem now too with Forest, is that Ross has pointed out perfectly here, even if it doesn't work out for us, I mean, we can get their BSB and account number, transfer the money into their account, and then is that the end of it? They can't do anything about it. They have our money. He comes to us, or they play it out with us, and then someone else like Chelsea probably go, oh, it's 60 million. I know that's 60 million because of what's already happened. Here's the money. So, and he's nowhere he's staying after this either. So I don't know why. It's just
I do get the feeling like it wouldn't surprise you if their chairman is so petty that he would say, I'm not accepting 60 from Spurs now, but I'm going to publicly offer him to one of, let's just say, Arsenal for 61 million. I'm not saying he would after that specific team, but you can see in a world in which he'd be so petty about the whole thing that to him it's about winning a fight of egos. For us, I think it's no emotion in it at all. It's just we just need number 10 who can do these 3 or 4 things, and Morgan Gibbs-White can do one, and he's within our budget. So that's the only reason we're here. And if you want to start bickering with us, fine, go argue with yourself. But he's just shooting himself in the foot. Like you said, there's no way. There was reports that he stopped Morgan Gibbs-White leaving the building at one point.
Block the door.
But there's no coming back from that. What I think he might do is try put his foot down initially and show some strength there, and then ultimately his emotions will simmer down, and someone will tell him, we really need that money. If that player's going to be sitting in the under 21s at the start of the season, we can't have that. We need the £60 million, and he'll get excited by the idea of some of the other players that his recruitment team want to bring in, that he'll need the funding for. And I think it'll be that point that he goes, fine. But it's likely that, I imagine, is it the same in your workplace, Joe, where in this situation, this is what I imagine's happened. This all came out on Friday. Johan Langer and the technical director at Forest have spoken and gone, we need to just figure out where we stand. Can we regroup on Monday? My boss is fuming. Your boss is confused. We're just going to go away, simmer down. But Monday afternoon, let's put a Teams call in and we'll chat about it. And on that Teams call will be a legal representative from each club, with a decision maker from each club, and they've both gone away and they've done all their homework, and because they want to know where they stand in that negotiation. If Spurs find they've broken absolutely no rules and they're completely confident in that, and we find the release clause is as simple as £60 million, we've met the minimum upfront payment, because this is an important thing that came out today, was it's not just about the release clause, because you can't just say £60 million over 20 years. The release clause has parts to it that make it more specific. And some reports are saying it's only the £60 million is up front. Another one said it's within 3 years. We don't know that yet. But I think they'll want to go away and see, did we actually meet the release clause? Did we actually break any rules to get it? Because if we haven't, and we haven't met the release clause, let's just cut the meeting. He's our player. Move on. This is done. Just go for the sake of relationships, say hello. But if it's a case of, crap, we haven't met it, technically, actually, they can pie us off here. We need to be friends, and we need to find a way of finding a compromise here. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to go to pot. Then in that case, it's probably going to drag on for a few weeks, isn't it?
Well, the interesting thing in that scenario is if we haven't met the upfront cost, then we don't know what the release clause is. So then we haven't tapped them up properly. So
this is so true. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then we can just go, okay, then here's the upfront money that you want. But I mean, if you're going for release clauses, a lot of them are majority of the cash up front, aren't they? So you would expect them to be ready to go with that amount of money. You could just feign ignorance. Be, oh, is it that much up front? Okay, we didn't know. then it's done. But I don't know. Like, can they put it into sort of like an arbitration situation where it just gets held frozen until legal stuff is sorted, or if there's nothing wrong, there's nothing they can do. They just have to accept £60 million. What a life,
Yeah,
having to accept £60 million. Oh no, what a shame.
yeah. I think that it's coming down to, did we met the value of 60 million, but did we meet all the criteria of that £60 million release clause? And that's what's being looked into. And I think they've gone, oh, they've met it, we've got to accept it. The chairman's kicked off, asked everyone to pause, said they have to look into it. Spurs have gone, look, we didn't mean to upset anyone here. We thought we were just following some rules. Let's all regroup on Monday. We won't speak to the player until you've had a chance to do your thing internally. And they're going over the contract with every available magnifying glass they have in the building to try find a clause somewhere which gets them out of having to accept this, knowing that we can't legally view that release clause to know why we didn't meet it. Because what we might find is there's a clause in there which says it's only valid on July 17th. I don't know, just making something up. And we would never know that. And if we suddenly get that right, and we do know it secretly, they know we can't suddenly appear with it because it would show we did know about it all along.
Yeah.
I think there's a big game of chess here going on that will come to a conclusion over the next week, because I think Spurs have made it clear they want to move quickly. And if they're going to play this game for weeks, plural, I think we'll just walk away. I think we'll just go for someone else. Or we'll just go focus on defensive midfielder for now. Because you know what? A 10 is class if we can get Morgan Gibbs-White. I think, like Sean says, we'll be gutted if we miss out. But that defensive midfielder is more important right now. So if we can just go waste a week focusing on that defensive midfielder and go get Adam Wharton in, oh my word, I think that Adam Wharton would do more for our side than Morgan Gibbs-White. Both would do a lot for the side.
Absolutely. Yeah, it depends on how keen he is to come to Tottenham. I guess the longer it runs, the more chance that someone else can come in and offer him a bigger contract. But yeah, I mean, we don't know. We don't know if what the little crossing the T's and dotting the I's need to be done. But I do hope he ends up coming. But if we have to sort of put it in the back burner for 2 weeks while we go sign Adam Wharton, then it kind of happens. 2 weeks at this stage is okay, I think. Longer than that, we probably need to move on to someone else, because we need to get them in to have some time with the camp.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. And there is a realm with the longer it waits. There's no the longer it goes on, probably slightly better for Forest than it is for Spurs. So they know more clubs might come interested, more clubs might sell someone and then have funding to go for Gibbs-White. So yeah. We aren't in. It's there. Oh, sure. I'm trying to zoom in myself there. But there you go. But should we chat a bit about Wharton, because that's one hell of an exciting league. That would be a game-changing signing for our side. I think that would genuinely be a player that I think the term is moves the needle, like quite significantly for us. He would be the reason that our defence no longer looks disconnected from the midfield. He'd be the reason why passing, that the centre-backs no longer look stupidly under pressure. He would be the reason why when you lose the ball in the final third, it doesn't end up in your own net 10 kicks later. He'd be massive, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's sort of the perfect situation or perfect player for what we need as a 6 anyway. Even if you just watch his highlights, if you haven't been able to watch Palace much last year, you can see his passing ability. His range of passing is fantastic. The way he receives the ball is awesome. Yeah, he would be extremely, extremely good and extremely suited, and he would give people like Bergvall the platform to be able to be that box-to-box and get forward a bit more as well. The thing is with him is he's going to be, because of what his value is to Palace, he's going to be very, very expensive. So it would be, like, there'll be no doubt that anyone could say that we're in the new area of Spurs and we're trying to win something if we did push out. I think Aslan saying close to 100 million. I feel like those days are maybe gone of the 100 million players. It doesn't seem like that, but I'd say he'd be close to 80. This is the thing we were talking about before, Jim, when you were mentioning there's that there's some reason everyone can get the price. Let's see the chat reckons. How much does Adam Wharton cost?
Yeah, in the chat, that's a good one. How much is Adam Wharton worth? Because I'm interested to see if my theory is right, that everyone normally gets these things. But I would agree. I'd say you're talking starting with a £60 million bid and ending up closer to 80. I think if you want to go for him. And I'll put a little poll up then. Yeah, 70 to 80 mil, says Ross. 66 says dry roast peanuts. 75 says Milton. Hey, Milton, mate. Aslan says, they say 100. I say 70 to 80. Palace want 100. Is that Neil Epspec? Palace won't let him go. The thing with Palace, though, is nearly all their players do have release clauses built in.
They're all similar contracts too, aren't they? They do it. They structure them the same.
Yeah.
So from like Elise's situation, you can kind of work backwards from there and see what they want. 100 million in his contract when he came from the Championship would be a surprise they put that much in his contract. And that basically means he's not sellable for anything. So if Wharton would agree to that, or his team would agree to being that in his contract, I doubt it. But Palace they do it really complicated, don't they? You've got to talk to Palace and then get permission to talk to the player. He's got to then tell Palace that he wants to leave. Then you can negotiate different things. They do it really complicated. But yeah, I think about 80 would be what he would go for. Yeah, Alfie, ask the agent. He'll know.
Yeah,
for sure, he'll know.
I'm very intrigued to see how this unfolds with this whole like you can't share release clauses about your client thing. That seems absolutely bonkers. And hello, Sean the Gooness Lair. Good to see you, mate. And so Johnny's in the house. Greetings are from Crete. Hope you're enjoying yourself, Johnny, mate. On the lounger. No, she won't be on the lounger this time. You'll be a few oozos deep on your balcony, I imagine, enjoying yourself. But yeah, good to see you, mate. Yeah, it does seem absolutely bonkers. I mean, I wonder if it matters like who shared the leak, because if it's the agent sharing it and we haven't asked for it, then surely we've broken no rules either.
Yeah, just send out a spam email, BCC'd every club
on a mailing list.
Yeah. Mention here of Believer. If Wharton does cost that much, there is options, because Believer would be, I think, just as good. I think Wharton's probably a bit more proven. Even though they've been in the Prem a similar amount of time, I just feel like Wharton's done a little bit more. But Believer is, am I saying it right? Believer? It sounds funny. It sounds weird now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a Justin Bieber fan.
Yeah, Believer. I'm singing a song. Yeah.
Again, I think there's loads of options out there. I'm not sure on Paulinho. I know people have spoken about him as a potential lower cost option, but he's not a good enough ball player for me to kind of move the needle again in that role. I think in an ideal world, if we're selling Basuma, it looks like we are, I'd be saying you need Paulinho and another. If you want to be greedy and say you want the squad to be ready next season to truly compete for things, I think you need a Morgan Gibbs-White, Paulinho, who's more of your defensive six, and then you need a more creative six as well. And you need to keep Bentancur on top of that. Then your midfield's pretty stuffed with good options. Our wings are looking pretty strong now, if you especially bring Morgan Gibbs-White, because he can play on the left, obviously. And we've already brought on Kudos, and I think Tell's going to come on leaps and bounds under Frank. The only positions then I'd say is you probably need one more wing back and a backup striker, and the squad's there. You actually say Spurs finally have a pretty complete squad. What
do we do if we have a complete squad? What happens? Do we just...
It's that stage I think it's the stage of Football Manager where you've signed all your world-class prospects and you've got your like senior players you want to keep, and then you're just waiting for the youth players' ratings to accumulate and keep going up and up until you have world domination. But also, I think what we'd be doing is like you would be in the phase that we watch Liverpool in and Arsenal in, where they go for just one or two big signings each window, just to start leveling it up. I think we move into that realm of going, you know what, we can do better than Bentancur. You know what, we could upgrade Solanke. You know, you start getting in the like, they're already really good, but let's go for great. It's kind of conversations. and you're moving into those realms, which would be pretty exciting. Oh, hey Kem, good to see you.
If this does go, I doubt he'll want to, because 1 year left on his contract. These day and ages, most players don't want to leave with that left on their contract, but the offer might be worth him going. We would have to bring in someone to replace him, and I think that would be a good idea. Would be Polina for that one, because he would add a different option. Like, I don't think he would be a starter. Say we could bring in Wharton and Polina. He wouldn't be a starter, but he would be good for games like the Europa League final, where you just want to bring someone in to lock it down, basically. He'd be good for those kind of things as well. And if we were to do that, if Gibbs-White and Wharton came in, and even if it was Biss to stay, I'd be very happy. Then the left-back situation is interesting, because Spence can play there, and we do have Archie Gray can play backup. And I know it's better for him to play in the midfield and to have an avenue to grow in that position. So then bringing in someone like Polina, does that block his growth?
No, I think I think Gray's role, and this is what JJ feels as well, and he's speaking from a coach's mindset of what he would do with the player. He was kind of the view that Gray may one day be a wonderful six, but if you're based on just what we've seen of him so far as a teenager, he's more likely, if he wants to be a reasonably regular at Spurs in a Champions League scenario, his main position of value right now would be middle of a back. So in the back five, he'd be that central centre back that pushes up and down between midfield and the defence. And his job is to drift up into midfield, go onto a flank and play a ball through. Whereas if you put him alone as a six, I think we saw it a couple of times last season, just it's natural. He's a teenager playing against the world's best prime midfielders in the whole world. You put him at risk of getting a little, out-muscled at times. I think there's going to be times to play him as a six, but just you wouldn't want him to. I think that's going to be more of a okay, it's a cup game, it's League Cups, third round, we're playing Norwich. Let's give Gray a go at number six, but I don't think you'll see him more than that.
Well, if that's sort of implying that he's going to be like he was last year, then a bit of a rotation piece. Do we need to desperately bring in a left back this season, or can we have Spence, Porro, Udogie, and then Archie filling in if someone's tired?
Yeah, I think we need another wing back.
I think we do long term, but is it this? Would you prefer a backup striker or a backup left back? I'm going in the world where we're not the new Tottenham Hotspur.
I'm not allowed. So I'm not. Even though I think we'll get
scenario. Yeah.
I will say this is new Tottenham Hotspur, and we will get both. But in the sense that in the world which we don't get both, I still think we need another. I still think we need another wing back, and I say that because I think we've got so many options out wide now. I think Son is again going to be. I think. Oh no, gosh! So who do we have in play up front? We've got Solanke is the only natural striker.
It's Richie.
Oh, you got Richie. So yeah, are we assuming no one else is sold in this fictional scenario?
Yeah, if we were selling someone, we're replacing them directly in the scenario. Or if we do anyway, we have to. I think we have the numbers of the squad. We just don't have all the right pieces.
I still think we need a wing back more than a striker. If we've got Richarlison already, we've got Richarlison, Son, and Solanke can all play up front. Whereas at wing back, there's two players who play wing back roles. Only one player plays a striker role in the way we play. So you need twice as much cover, and we've got one player covering both flanks. So based on that, I think we need a wing back more than a striker.
And I hope it's Anthony Robinson from Fulham. I really hope that is. But again, now rumours generally mean that it's not true, because Langer just moves in silence. But I do hope it is him. I just love how he can get up and down the field so well, and strong defensively, and is a threat going forward. So he'd be great. And then I actually haven't heard of anyone got any good rumours for a striker. Bissa, I guess, kind of. That's the thing too. Like if we're going off how Frank played at Brentford, a lot of the outside players came in, and he's had different situations too. He's had someone like Visser, but he's had Ivan Toney,
Mm-hmm.
Watkins. So they've all been different. They've all been different styles. So I mean, I don't know if Richie can't play in this formation, this system, because
Well,
he's done a lot of different things.
I think Richie's got more chance of being okay under Frank because we've got a deeper squad than we did under Ange now. And for a player like him, he'll be easier to manage. I think with under Ange, that squad was so thin. Whenever he came back from injury, he was thrown straight in. Like, I think he didn't really have a choice, and it made the issues compounded. I do want to quick shout to Sean to say, welcome back to being member, mate. You were one of our first ever, but he got hacked, so he lost access. But Sean's back in the house, and he's gone to Legends tier, which is our top tier membership. So thank you, Shawnee. And there's another great Shawnee, one of our first as well, in Sean Hurl. And thank you very much for the super thanks, Mr. Hurl. I would click on it and shout on the screen, but for some reason I've got a bug and it's not letting me do that. So there you go. But thank you very much,
Shawnee.
Yeah, that's right. And what? Go on. I was going to say quickly, if you're watching, can you quickly hit like to help us out? That'd be great. Thank you very much. That was a lot. Go on, Joe.
I was just going to ask David. Can you put David Clark's thing? I'm not sure what he means.
Yeah.
Richie is a very polarizing figure, isn't he? Because when he came in at the end of the last season, he did a job, and he was asked to do a certain thing, and I think he did it fairly well. But there is people that do like him, and the people that just literally think he can't play football. So he's a very polarizing figure. What do you mean, David? Do you understand that, Jim?
No, Dave, you have to explain what your comment was. Sean Hurl agrees with me, though, that I think we need another wing back, as he doesn't see Spence good enough at left back. But yeah, no, David, I don't understand. Oh, he's a bad carrier. Rich Arsenal's a bad carrier. Get real, please. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, but I don't think you're. Go on, sorry.
No, you go. You finish what you were going to say. This one, I was going to say, potentially, I think Johnson will be interesting in a number 9 position, because if we think about Brentford and how they played with Tony, I think Solanke can do that role better than what Tony was doing it. I think Solanke's hold-up ability is awesome, the way he receives the ball. And that's basically what Tony was doing a lot of. So, and then Johnson's role as a 9 would be completely different to that. We've never seen Johnson have to hold the ball up, really, but he doesn't lose it easily. Johnson rarely loses the ball, but he rarely risks losing it as well. So it'd be interesting to see.
I think you've got the best case scenario, that you've got one of the best wingers at doing what Johnson does. And yes, he doesn't dribble past players. He doesn't do lots of things that you expect from a winger. But in terms of not losing the ball, and when he does lose the ball, it remaining in our arms, in the sense it's going out for a corner or a throw for us, from taking a lot of chances and being in the right space, doing that as an inside forward, I think he's one of the best. His goal output says it all. I mean, you don't score that many goals from being rubbish at that. But we desperately needed a profile in Kudos's profile. And we got that, who's a run at you, stretch defenses, byline, all that kind of stuff. So we've got 2 different setups. So when you're in opposition, you go, we've got to set up to stop a Mohamed Kudus. Then you can switch it up and bring on a Brennan Johnson. They're going, we're set up to combat the opposite situation here. This is really difficult for us. And Spurs have a luxury that they've got that on both sides. And I think even on the left of kind of building that set up as well, which is great. I think you want versatility and options, right?
Yeah, Mr. Odebear, who seems to be forgotten about at the moment, is a dribbly boy as well. So we haven't. And I really don't want Sonny to go. I don't think I don't think he'll be a waste of space. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the captaincy.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big question. In the comments, I'm going to end the poll. I should do a poll on who should be the captain next season, because I think that is a good one, because I don't think you need to disrupt it and remove Son, but I don't think Son's going to be. Is he going to be a starting left winger?
Who knows? This is the interesting thing about how many days until Reading. I don't think Tell did enough last year to base it off last year, but then I think this system's going to suit Tell more because he's not going to be out wide as much. I think Tell's that in between the fullback and centre back sort of positions better for him, and you can see his ball striking is very good as well. And then there's Odebear, who's obviously can put a lot of pressure on and get to the byline fairly regularly. So there's a lot of competition for that spot. I don't know. I just hope it's not based off just a name. I hope it's, and I just can't see Frank being like that for some reason. But I just hope it's not based off just because Sonny's Sonny. He gets the starting spot to start to straight up, but I can't see that happening.
And didn't Man United for a while have players like Ryan Giggs captaining who weren't necessarily starting every week? It's more about having the right personality because he's always going to at least be on the bench, Sonny. And
yeah.
So I'm not sure it really.
And the times he played 30 minutes were his best games last season. So I think, and he's a smart guy too. He'll understand the situation that he's in. He's just he can't play as many games as he used to be able to play, and we've got to play a lot of games this year. So there's the interesting ones of the captains though, because after we speak about captains, we can maybe mention the possibility of Romero getting offered a bigger contract.
Yeah,
but I can't see Romero being the captain. I just don't think he has the sort of personality of engaging with everyone. I think it would be just, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to read with, especially people that don't speak great English, and whether that's an issue these days because there's so many players around the club that.
That's a very good question. Is the language a pivotal part of a captain's like to have in terms of if you're playing for an English club and that's the native language you're typically training's going to be running, your teammates going to be speaking in on the whole, is not being, I want to say, I'm sure because I'm sure he can hold a conversation, but can you hold a team? Can you hold a motivating team talk? Like that's a very different level of proficiency, isn't it? The perception that you have from the outside, as David says, is his English isn't particularly strong and it doesn't seem to really bother. And that's fine. Like, I think as some people, it's like, well, I'm just not really I don't feel the need. I can understand what's going on the pitch and get by. I'm not going to start going to have English lessons on my time off. But yeah, so who would you have? Would you just keep it the same for next season?
It's interesting that he's never been in the leadership group, but I just feel like Van der Ven would be a great long-term captain.
Oh, that's a good shout.
But he hasn't been in the leadership group, so I wonder, is that just his age? But he's only been there for two years, so and he seems very sort of driven as a personality, wants to succeed. So I think you need that as a bare minimum as to be the captain. So I mean, if you put those lists, then there's Kulu's in that list. I think it does matter who's captain. It sets a culture, a tone. It sets what's acceptable from the playing group. Someone to set the sort of guiding light to what the club's going to do, how the players are going to act, if they're going to show up on time. If you have a captain that doesn't show up on time, other players don't show up on time. It does matter who is the captain. So yeah, that sort of drive, I think, is the minimum. They've got a bit of outgoing personality, I think. But then I guess like Roy Keane's an interesting person who was a captain because he acts like he doesn't have an outgoing personality, but then he's constantly talking on the media and stuff like that. So does he have an outgoing personality or not? So we can't really know too much about personalities from the outside, only what we see in there. Bergvale long term, but being 19 now, I think he would be by now, wouldn't he? Or he's still 18. It's probably way too early for that. He probably is just figuring out his own personality, let alone trying to lead other men.
Yeah, leadership is not all about it. You could have a very mediocre, middle of the ground player within the squad in terms of how we rank them for their ability, who makes a better captain than our best player.
Absolutely.
Like Kane was captain for years, and he was a lead by example captain. But it felt like he was partly in that role because he's our best player. We've got to keep him happy. We don't want this guy to leave. You got to just give him all the responsibilities and opportunities you can possible to help that player feel like they're growing. And that breeds happiness and satisfaction in your day and your job and all that kind of thing. Growth is happiness more than money, right? And but now, and we've seen ones like Jordan Henderson. Like, why do managers keep signing him? But it's because he's such a good captain. It's because he follows instructions. People respect his understanding of the game. People respect that. You know, I think someone like Ben Davies one day, would have been a good captain in some respects, but he wasn't. He probably wasn't quite as prevalent enough in the squad to warrant that. But we all know he'll make a good coach one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a tough one. I don't think we need to disrupt it too much, but I think the season after this one, I think there will be a shake-up. I think right now it'll be like, I'm just in your door. Son's still here. Let's leave him there in post. He's just won a massive trophy. He wants to see out another year at the club. And we want to keep Romero sweet for one more season as well. Let's keep these guys there because the chances are next summer, Romero's going to be sold if he doesn't take this contract, which we'll discuss today. And Son's like out of contract, so likely gone as well. So that's the right opportunity to reshape who we're going to put forward. And other players will know that. And I'm sure he'll speak to them and say, like, I'm looking at who are going to be my leaders next season. Who's going to step up? Who wants the mantle? And it could be kind of a motivating opportunity for someone to earn rather than just be given.
I'm sure you'll get a bonus too in your contract if you get given the captaincy. So a bit of a carrot.
That's a good point as well. Actually, there must be things like that.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Do you see there's any world in which Romero accepts a contract extension?
There's rumours that Atletico are starting to pull back on obviously they were never going to be able to afford him with how much they were offering. They were just too far off the mark at the start, I think. So if he signs a new contract, he's agreeing to stay for probably 3 more seasons minimum. So I just don't know if he wants to. That's the thing, that's the hard part about the fans at the moment. No one knows if Romero actually wants to be at the club. And then no one's ever. I mean, some players do come out and be like, "Hey, I love Tottenham." Like Matters is the sort of player that would be like, "I'm staying. I'm not leaving." But Romero's never going to be like that.
Well, Matters is, but he's also the type who goes, I'm staying, I love this club, I'm never leaving. And then someone comes in and goes, I'll double your salary. And he goes...
He's in a Real Madrid shirt the next day.
And he's in a Real Madrid shirt the next day, yeah. But that's the pros and the cons of some of those personalities, right?
Yeah.
They're outspoken, they're good fun, but that comes with that side to it as well. So I don't take anything personally a footballer does or says. They're human beings. They've got short careers. They've got to take the opportunities in front of them. And there's extremes like the unmentionable guy who left us for the unmentionable lot down the road. But on the sides from
the way
that,
he's been treated, no one will ever do that again.
Yeah.
Which is
like
good.
Mohamed Kudus coming to Spurs, like from West Ham. West Ham fans are really hurting over that. But it's like, in my eyes, it's like, well, let's face it, guys. We've got Champions League football. You're likely in a relegation fight. We've probably doubled his salary. He's got a family in London. It's nothing to do with Spurs versus West Ham. It's to do with that stuff. He doesn't care about the badge in that sense. Spurs, he cares about because we want to double his salary. We want to put him under Champions League lights, and we want to give him a key role in a project that's rumoured we're going to be getting big investment for in the form of other sponsorships and deals to make us challengers for trophies and titles. And we've just won a major trophy. So that's why he wants to join Spurs. He doesn't give a crap about claret and blue and, navy blue socks. That's just out of the equation, or what the fans think in the terrace.
I wouldn't want to play in claret. What a terrible colour.
It is a terrible. It's like Imagine
And
someone got
why
your
are so
car
many
in that
teams
colour.
wearing it? It's so ridiculous. Yeah, imagine a car in Clara. That'd be terrible.
You see
Feel like
them.
they'd vomit you.
You
Do
see
you
them
really?
occasionally. Yeah, I've seen a couple of maroon, like kind of coloured cars. I'm like, claret coloured, and you're like, oh, that's, and especially when I saw a brown. Sorry, if anyone in the comments got a brand new Range Rover Defender the other day. I thought that's
Camouflage.
that's a rogue choice
Ready for a
for
European
$100
war.
grand car. Like, just go simple, black, silver, grey, white, blue, whatever, green.
Be boring.
Be boring. Yeah, be boring.
Someone mentioned just can you, on the. I'll scroll back up. I think Romero wants to live in Spain, which would make sense, being the language and the weather a bit. But there's that part too. But then there's a lot of money. So if we're going to offer him 200K a week, that's a lot of money. Where else could offer him more than that in the next few years? Really. So it might just be like, yeah, I want to go. It would be nice to live in Spain, but
It's Michael's comment,
I'm a millionaire and I can go to Spain once a week if I really want to on my day off. So
this is true, but I do think there's less of a cultural shift between South America and Spain than South America and England.
For sure, there would be, yeah.
And if he and his family prefer the cultures of South America, which I assume most people prefer the cultures of where they come from.
They grew up in, yeah.
That's more appealing. But at the same time, careers are so short. His kids might be, it might, for all we know, I know we all think this, he wants to go to Spain, and I'm one of them who's kind of somehow come up with that as gospel in my head. He may well be like, my kids are in school in England, my wife's got mates there, I don't want to leave England and I want to go to England. We don't know. We literally do not know. It's all going to be
his kids
conjecture.
could really like jellied eels, and they could be like, I'm not leaving these jellied eels anywhere, no matter
Sunday
what.
roast. It could be like the pork crackling in Madrid just doesn't cut it. Like, the roasts you can get in London are just far, far superior to having to find an Irish bar in Spain that serves one. And that could be the main reason he wants to stay, right?
Yeah, we don't know.
We
don't know what's going on. His kids are pretty young though, so if they're going out for Sunday roasts, but yeah, we've gone off a little bit. What else can we talk about?
Sean says Madders is in a Spurs retro shirt again. Yeah, he's done this a few times, and I think he knows how to play our heartstrings. And he was straight in that Gaza shirt when he signed for us. But, and it's only opinion, I think if Real Madrid signed him tomorrow, he'd be wearing a Modric shirt or whoever the next day. And that Spurs shirt would be swiftly disappearing and getting dusty in the back of his cupboard. Like, I think he's proud to play for Spurs because he thinks we're a massive club, but he doesn't like Spurs for the same reasons we do. Like, he's not like, God, I watched Spurs before I signed for them and they're a wicked club and their fans are just much better than everyone else's. I think he's just like, this is a massive club. I'm here. I'm pretty in awe of the stadium, the opportunity. I'm grateful. The fans are pretty good to me. And that's why I'm happy here. Rather than...
Do you know what? You've brought up something then. I had a feeling that the reaction to the Europa League win, the parade especially, has maybe turned some players' heads to be like how big Tottenham actually are. And that's why we're seeing players like Kudos and Gibbs-White being like, yep, personal terms, I want to go to Tottenham. I do think that it's like the sleeping giant has been awoken by that, and just because players do take in consideration how big the club is and what the fan base is like. Like Liverpool have that pull for that reason, that everyone knows it. So Real Madrid, just because the size of them, those kind of things. So what do you think? Do you think that actually could play a role in this?
100%. I've been a season ticket holder for 16 years now, and I was shocked by how big we are. When I saw that high road, I was stunned. Like, that the amount of people, it was hundreds of thousands. I'm like, this is like when it looked like a country celebrating some mammoth occasion.
Mhm.
It didn't look like a football club in London celebrating a trophy. It looked like the country was celebrating something enormous happening. That's how big it was. And I think what it's awoken is the huge volume of our supporter base that have been feeling so dejected and frustrated by 20 years of not having those moments, who've witnessed them in the past. It reawoke a lot of that.
Mhm.
But it also showed us how much bigger football clubs are beyond who goes to the ground and who has a Twitter account.
Yeah, especially a Twitter account.
Yeah. Like we said, that Spurs, I think, like, I double check, I think it's less than 20% of fans are actually in the UK, Spurs fans. So
Wow.
there's that for a start. And then there's just within the UK, I think you go to the game, you get familiar with those around you, and blah, blah, blah. There's so many more fans across the country who, because of where they live, don't go.
Mm.
But they care just as much as anyone else that do go. And yeah, I do think that winning that trophy, people have gone, someone could must have seen their celebrations for the Conference League and kind of looked at ours and been like, okay, we rent this stadium, athletic track, you know, celebrations are a lot smaller, can't pay as much money. Doesn't their owner make money off porn as well? Something like that?
Yeah, he's a bit of a dodgy fella, maybe. Actually,
Yeah.
is it a dodgy business? I don't know.
I don't know if it's dodgy. I think it's just it's not as reputable as the way ENIC are running Spurs. And
Yeah.
like West Ham aren't going to get £250 million stadium sponsorship deal like us, are they? All these things.
Can they even sponsor the stadium out? It's not even theirs.
No, that's so. Yeah, can they?
I doubt it.
We'll do it on one of the finance episodes.
Mm.
I'll find out on that. And on that, we are going to do if you aren't subscribed, you should subscribe and check out some of our finance episodes in the playlist. If you're interested in that, we really go into explaining how much Spurs can spend in the transfer window, how much we're impacted by FFP and PSR, and the next episode next week is when the sponsor deal happens, which is rumoured, based on the figures we know, how's that going to impact our transfer budgets coming up? What does it mean for us? How's it going to accelerate the project? All those things. We're going to do it alongside 3 people who work in corporate finance. So that will be interesting. Chelsea just beat PSG, didn't they? I'm just hearing.
Yep.
Was that the final as well? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that's 140 million they've got on winning that cup. Absolutely. Absolutely mental.
The way that a lot of players seem to care about this must mean they must have got such a big bonuses for if they won it.
Yeah.
The embarrassing thing was the stadiums. I mean, America's got 350 plus million people and they can't even fill out the center of the stadiums. It's crazy.
This is where Spurs and Chelsea have had such a different previous 20 years. When it pours, it rains for Spurs through things outside of our circumstance.
When it pours, it rains, or when it rains, it pours?
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
When the rain starts pouring down for Chelsea, some freak event happens and just stops it.
Mm.
And financial ruin, you get an invite to this cup for something you won 5 years ago. Oh, do we? Are you going to get 150 million pounds if we win? Oh, do we? You're going to get a really good draw. Oh, are we?
Yeah.
And then the really best team in the world are going to have a terrible off day in the final. Oh, brilliant. And that bails us out, does it? Yeah, pretty much. Ah, fantastic. That's the realm Chelsea live in. With Spurs, 95th minute against PSG, they played the best game of their lives. Tim Krul's in goal for Newcastle, the only goalkeeper ever to have 10 out of 10 performance against us. But the ball's going in the Super Cup final into the top corner and a seagull swoops down and knocks it out of the way. And that's the kind of things happen to us. Versus Chelsea, the seagull comes down and hits it into the goal. So,
I guess actually though, that did happen to us, but that kind of happened to Liverpool for a bit too with the Pepe Reina beach ball.
Yeah.
And then it turned around for them. So maybe we're at that precipice now. But I guess when it turned around for them, there was other teams and Chelsea too when they started being a success at the end of the 90s. There wasn't that much competition, but now we've got Newcastle. Who knows what's going to happen with Villa? A lot of the mid-table teams are really good, so a lot of competition. Someone said before that I think it was Snellcypher said they've guaranteed the top 4 I think anyone should learn that you can't guarantee a top 4 anymore.
No, you've got to spread your bets on how you're going to get back into the Champions League each year. You can't just rely on that top 4 space. If you're in the Europa League, you've got to try win it as well. It's so important. Although it's weird now that the Champions League isn't the biggest money-making competition. You want to be in this silly Club World Cup thing every year, don't you? Is
there 4 years though? Like the World Cup? Is that how they're doing it? Or are they doing it every year?
Oh, is it every?
I'm not interested in it at all. Yeah, until Tottenham are in it. That's pretty much how I roll.
Yeah, so you might be right. I'll have to look into that. Let's go over the rules of it in a future episode. But
yeah, but PSG in the Super Cup, I actually, because obviously we're live now, I haven't watched the game against Chelsea, but every other time I've seen them play in this competition, even if it's just extended highlights, they're very good.
Yeah,
and they're very good. So, but it kind of feels like one of those ones where they're very good all the time, and for some reason, when they come up against Spurs, that we end up pulling one out, and then we can lord it over all the other teams that couldn't beat them. But now Chelsea have ruined that for us.
I think it's going to play massively into our favour that they've had all these games. I think they're going to be absolutely knackered. I think they're going to get absolutely rinsed coming in against us in the Super Cup final. I think it's going to mean more to us than it is going to mean to them.
Especially with a couple more signings that are new.
Yeah.
Well. Yep.
And you know what? In my eyes, I put it on par with something like the League Cup. I count it as a major trophy. I don't count it as like I wouldn't have a big parade, but
no,
I count it as like definitely worth more than Community Shield and helping instill a winning culture into whoever plays in that side that wins it. Whereas I think you win the Charity Shield, that's not installing a winning culture in anyone. It's a glorified friendly.
No.
I think
the only reason that I don't hold it with so much is that yes, you have to win 2 big competitions to get into it, but only 2 teams can then compete in it. But I guess by sort of proxy, the other teams are competing in it by being in the Champions League or Europa League the season before. But it kind of the Charity Shield is the same thing, but less so. It's obviously, but yeah, it'd still be good for the fact of winning something again, keeping that ball rolling, the culture. It definitely means something. I don't have it as a huge thing, but I'd rather win it than not win it, for sure.
Yeah, obviously. It's nowhere near Europa League win, but it is still, to me, like it's the kind of thing that I think if we win it, to me, it's a sign that things have changed culturally at Spurs. To win a trophy and then go on and then win that just shows you're being more like Liverpool and those clubs that we all look at as that's where we think we could be, and that's what we want to be. And some would even say we should be. I think that's a debate, but I think everyone should want to be there in that position of those clubs. And that's when you look at players and they go, oh, they've won 30 major trophies and 5 Champions Leagues and 5 Premier Leagues and all these other kind of random cups. You want to be winning those random cups as well and just keep momentum of winning going.
Yeah. It
just gets a monkey off Frank's back off the bat.
I wonder if the club really wants to win it, and that's why we're seeing so much movement with players getting signed early too. They can get bedded in before the game comes around. Because how long is it? A month now until that game's played? How long?
Not long. It's when Super Cup final. That's a good question. Ask me on the spot. It's 13th of August, so it's still a month away.
Yeah, 2 months, a month.
Yeah. Still a month today. Yeah. But
so if PSG have 3 weeks off and then a week back in training, hopefully that is beneficial for us. That they've done their fitness test and they've run a kilometer in 3 minutes or whatever Spurs players have been running that kilometer in that test they've been doing, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
Solanke, do you see Solanke after? He looked like he didn't even care.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an absolute monster though, isn't he? He's so fit.
Yeah. And that showed up against Lancashire. Lancashire, when he played too, you could tell the difference in the fitness ability and his pressing. Is that interesting? Anyone in the chat? What do you want to talk about now? Do you want to talk about?
I was going to ask them for their score predictions on the Super Cup final.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
But yeah.
13-8.
What's your predictions?
Sean the Glooner Slayer's gone us 13, PSG 8 as the score.
Yeah, it's solid prediction there, Sean. I know you mean the date, Sean. Yeah, I think the other news next week is the sponsorship deal is supposed to, the rumored investment is supposed to get much clearer. That's definitely built on some real foundations. It'll be interesting to see if the stadium naming rights are going to be part as an individual deal, that just 10-year, 250 million, whatever it is, 25 million a year over 10 years. But typically, actually saying right, Niels, are 20 years because they obviously want to establish the stadium with a brand that then sticks forever. But it could be much bigger if the buyer wants to say, I'm going to get your stadium naming rights and also buy a minority of the club.
Yeah.
Which would tie in with what we're rumored to want to do. So I think if that happens, everything changes dramatically. If we're selling a part of the club with this, that to me signifies, especially if it's the Saudi entity, they're buying a minority stake in a competitor of Newcastle's. That's a sign that that things are going to be very different to versus I'm just sponsoring you. I want the stadium to be called the Almanco, the oil company. I forget now.
Yeah,
Almanco.
who knows? Yeah. But they can just start a new company and then that company can buy us, and there's no conflict. Pretty much what Chelsea are doing, as basic as you can make it. It'd be interesting to do that for a company, because if they want to buy a minority stake with the purpose of eventually getting a majority stake, having the stadium naming rights in the meantime is like a sweetener, adds like a bit more value to it because their brand can still get out there. And then, but I mean, when you have these things like Clearwater of Chelsea, you're not going to advertise Clearwater Capital as on the stadium. It's not going to be Clearwater Stadium, for example, at Stamford Bridge. So it'd have to be someone like how in Man City we've got the Emirates Stadium, a entity that is, I guess all these owners have fingers in a lot of pies, don't they? So they could come up with someone that could put on the stadium. Would you, a petrostate or an oil company, be any value in actually their name getting out there? How much does that affect things?
It's a tough area. It's so hard. Like, as fans, we've also criticised sports washed clubs overall as a fan base, and we will witness the power of sports washing if we are bought or invested into heavily by someone's motive that is not money in return. It is changing the image of what they are. And we will be amazed by how quickly the feelings change when, players start coming in. But I'm still kind of quite stoic in the view that I don't want to go down that road. I think you can still be successful not being involved going down that road. And we could just go for, you can build a clever enough business model where you can remain competitive with sponsorships from other avenues. Is my personal view. I don't want the stadium permanently, effectively now named after something that's, ulterior motive is to kind of airbrush some things that go beyond money.
I'm curious how much that actually works, though, because it also kind of shines a light on it too. Like Qatar with the World Cup, it got the situation with workers' rights and stuff got brought up more.
That's
so
true. There was some positives in that, but then we saw high-profile people suddenly change their tune when they got offered a job. So I think Neville was really quite vocal about, and at the start everyone was going, fair, well done, hand clapped, and then he took a job for one of their major media broadcasters.
Jordan Henderson.
But I think we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole of
that's not right.
It's different because look, everyone, depending on where you live in the world, have different perspectives on this. I think
absolutely,
it's just Yeah, I would much rather we just stuck down the route of someone
I
who wants to make money of us.
Yeah, I don't want to have a private equity firm though, or an investment fund that's just for like I just don't. I mean, some of those companies will just churn and burn assets and jump out when they can, and it just leaves the club another mess. So I don't know what I want, to be honest. I don't know. It's the grass is always greener with an owner. I would be interesting to know if you took the what people think of like a poll to see which owners do they think are better than our owners that are currently in the Premier League or any football club who's got better owners.
Oh, that's a good question. In the comments, who has, if you could swap our owners with the owners of any other club tomorrow, who would you swap with? Because that's, I think when you ask that question, no one to me comes, I'd probably say FSG for Liverpool. But I wouldn't be desperate to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be going, oh, what an opportunity to swap owners. Because I think if you put FSG in charge of Spurs, it's such a wholly different challenge. They wouldn't necessarily have succeeded in the way they have at Liverpool so far.
They've bought very few amount of players realistically, and they've generally all been a success. I like Nunez. Pretty much all of their signings have been a success, and that's not a thing that can just carry over to every situation. So whether that would happen again, and it's interesting. Like Sean Gunderslayer says, Brighton, and it's an interesting one with clubs that are sort of mid-table, is that they have to work in a certain model, and when you get to the high echelons, does that because theirs is all they're basically it's an ex trader, isn't he? The owner of them, and he just works off basically a formula of each position, each player. So it'd be interesting if that would work at a bigger club. Chelsea, I've sort of mentioned again before, I don't really want a private equity firm running the business and doing weird things like selling the women's club to themselves and stuff like that. It just feels unnatural.
Yeah, the thing is, the private equity is they want to make the money back. They're not there to just invest heavily in Chelsea for fun. They are there to accelerate the value of Chelsea Football Club as quickly as possible and sell it and have a big profit. There is going to be a crunch moment, and like this happens when they buy any firm, be it in the tech industry, be it in, and if you get bought by a PE firm, there'll be people in comments who have worked in this industry or have been a part of a PE buyout. What they do is they put enormous growth targets on you. They pump their money in and say, you need to get to this size by this date. And at first, it's great. Money flies in and all these new shiny things come out to help you get there. Then there suddenly comes a time, and it could be 1 year down the road, it could be 5 years, 10 years, but Chelsea will go there. They aggressively start cutting. It's efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. We're getting ready to sell now. So we need to focus on EBITDA over everything else. Like, we need to just get the value of this thing up. And suddenly they'll stop. They'll say, we can't keep putting money in. We're not going to get it back. And that time will come. Whereas Spurs are much more of a, we're going to run at this percentage of our revenue going on players and this percentage every year and and we're just going to consistently kind of chug along. Chelsea's won't carry on forever like that. That there is going to be a day where you go, I think a lot of people go, okay, I'm glad we're not involved with Clear Lake. I'm glad they didn't buy us. But I think what Spurs might want is to sell a minority to a PE firm like that to say, we're still making the decisions. You can't start selling our women's team and doing all other stuff. Because the other thing is they can't buy these teams back. We were doing this in the finance pod. If women's football continues to grow and, in 10 years, Spurs are going, our women's team is a valuable asset to the club in terms of revenue as well. Chelsea can't just go buy theirs back for £1. They have to buy a fair market rate back. So if that team's gone up loads in value, they've got to spend, they've lost loads of money doing that whole accounting trick. That doesn't even work on FFP, but it only works on PSL. So
the biggest transfers in the future are going to be accountants. We've signed an accountant for £200 million a year.
Yeah.
Johnny Utah mentioned in the comments, we're owned by another one before that, owned by a convicted criminal. We have no right to judge any other ownership group. I wasn't sitting here defending anything that any of our ownership group or people have done, but I can't judge them. I'm not them. I have nothing to do with them. I can judge anyone in any club. I can judge our owners. I can judge other clubs' owners. That's what gives me the right as a fan, as a human being, and say what I think about things.
Yeah. This isn't a defense of our ownership.
Yeah.
By the way, it's like I'm not happy with how our majority shareholder made his money. If you really look into that whole story, it's pretty disgusting how he did. And he took a lot of other people out of pocket.
Yeah, we're talking about how things
doing it.
were run, not necessarily how they made their money. But I guess I was
Yeah.
sort of alluding to that. We were alluding to that with some of the, with some ownership styles, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're never going to have a billionaire that isn't like that, unfortunately. I guess the only way to do it is grow from a small club to a big club by gaining assets that the club own, and then go from there. I guess, is Ryan Reynolds and what's the other guy's name? Have they done anything really sketchy?
Well, they're in there to make money as well. They're just mini.
Yeah.
It's like a mini version of a PE buyer, private equity buyer. It's just getting celebrities, enhance the brand really quickly. Overnight, Wrexham's worth loads more money. Get them up to a certain level and sell them and move on. They're not here to win the Champions League of Wrexham. They're here to get them to a level where Clear Lake buys them off them, and then they can take their money and run away. That's what they're doing. They're just juicing up the asset. And it's to be fair, for the fans of Wrexham, that's great.
Absolutely.
They're getting loads of investment. They're growing the profile of their club. That's fine. But I think people are less skeptical when you're a club that is challenging the elite rather than part of the elite, even if they're all kind of playing, a lot of them are playing the...
And football is completely different to things. People are emotionally attached to the club. They kind of just forget about what the owners have done. I rarely think about things that Joe Lewis has done. It only crosses my mind when this kind of situation. I'm not walking around all day being like, oh, wish he hadn't committed those crimes. So, and I bet Newcastle fans aren't thinking anything about their owners, and City fans, and I guess there's some, but I guess if you found out your favorite subscription, say you've got Netflix, you found out their owners are doing something weird, would you cancel your Netflix subscription? Maybe. Some people wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. We won't dive too deep into. But any more? I would say as well, actually, if you're listening, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you're one of the 1,704 people tuned in right now across all the platforms, do us a huge favor. Click on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check us out on there. Tomorrow, we're going to have Glenn back on. He is named after Glenn Hoddle, but he works for QPR as a coach there. It's really good to have chatting to him because you get insights from someone who knows how a club, massive football club operates, and he's just a massive Spurs fan. I mean, he's named after Glenn Hoddle, as I said. So that's good. We've got one coming up on the 25th with Flav, Fighting Cock. He's going to be on as well. I'm chatting to Rob Daly about getting him back on over the coming weeks. So we've got a few exciting guests coming on before the season starts, and of course you get more of Joe. So yeah, get involved. I don't know
what that face was.
Any final topics in the Douglas Luiz? Do you want to talk about him? Do you think he seems a bit too good to be true, doesn't he? He's a bit of a bargain. Keep seeing people.
I mean, he's only a bargain because he plays for Juventus, and they seemingly have no idea what they're doing at the moment, do they?
That's true.
The Hoyson situation, and who did they get off Newcastle? No, who did they get in return? I can't remember who it was. Kelly.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he is a bargain. He was great for Aston Villa. I think he'd be good, but is he more of an 8 than a 6? Does he something that we need?
I think he's just good value for money. He's experienced. He could add value to a Champions League squad. Get him in.
I guess though, Wharton is a pipe dream, but it's a dream that I hope I have tonight. And
we'll leave you this: the pipe dream era is over. We actually do that stuff now. We actually go for those players now, and we don't just go like chuck a offer in for a laugh. We actually go. Something has changed. I think if we get in Gibbs-White and Kudus, I think we go for Wharton. I think something's shifted.
It's just there's a new era started. We're going to win the Champions League and the Premier League. That's the goal.
That's it, mate. That's it. Well, we will wrap up there. Up the Spurs, everyone. Much love.
Yes, Rossi,
subscribe if you don't on YouTube, and follow us on the audio pods. That'd be a big help to us. And we'll be back tomorrow. Up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs.